I want to hear what
Okay.
you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about some getting back to chair work a little bit. Um, you have you have is there more lighting in the back? It looks a little dark today, but maybe not.
Oh, well, it is getting
I'm
darker
used to,
now.
yeah, I'm used to seeing more light. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's
Yeah,
good. So if you could have the chair sideways, and I want to
tip you
be
down a
able to
little.
see all of you. And so, have you been working with that, what we did with getting out of a chair to standing and making sure that you didn't over straighten that
To
kind of
be
stuff?
honest, I I think I've forgotten most days. Like every couple days, I would think, let's be intentional about how we get out of this chair. But I haven't. That was one thing that the getting out of the chair. I don't think that I have made that a habit for me yet.
Well, we could just leave it that you look at that section because that
Yeah,
what happens when you get to the end of the line, for example, with stand.
yeah, overexerting it.
Remember using the front of your thighs as a really
Yes.
good
Oh, yes, I that standing and using like the front of your thighs as the canary in the coal mine. I
yeah
have used that every day
for standing
for
at school.
standing. Yeah,
So
school, workout, all of it.
why don't you before we do it the thing I have in mind, could you just stand sideways to the camera?
Sure.
Wow, that's very different.
Thank you.
Oh my God. You know what you really want to do, you have a seat again. Well,
Okay.
stay standing for a second because
Okay.
you're review the video from last time and look at it now. And I'm assuming this is now your new standing way of standing.
Well, yeah, I think
Okay,
that
that's a
yeah.
really big shift.
Yay! Good job, me.
Now, um, here's that's going from sitting to standing, but of course, there's going from standing to sitting. So what I'd like
Mhm.
you to do uh, is in a moment, just sit down the way you normally would. Don't no
Okay.
directions, no nothing. No, you're
Okay.
thinking about it. No,
Sorry.
no, it's time to sit down, period.
Okay, tell me when.
Hey, right now, yesterday. Okay,
Yesterday. Got
so,
it.
okay. Now, did you have any sense of exactly what happened when around the time you arrived at the chair?
Yeah, I popped too hard and then I had to counterbalance. I had to come back a little
Right. Well, go back
too
to
fast.
standing again. Not going to be picky. Oh, we don't have to be picky, actually. You're really doing great. So,
Good.
what I want you to do is this time when you sit down, at some point, your weight will be on the chair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to be really interested in what happens after that first arrival of your weight on the chair.
Okay. Do you want me to slow
Yeah.
it down? Because otherwise, my
I
normal
want
sit
you
is
to sit
fast.
down, but you'll notice at some point that your weight is largely, if not your leg's weight, because of your foot, but most of your weight
Hmm.
will be on your sits bones. And
Sure.
but I'd like you to be very interested in what happens when you first arrive at the chair. What then happens?
What happens when I
Yeah,
first arrive at the chair?
you should be
Got it.
curious about it. No right or wrong.
Okay.
So you arrived and then you made a little wiggling movement.
Yeah.
Could we do it if you stand up again? And this time, when you sit down and your sits bones arrive at the chair, refrain from doing anything else.
Oh, okay.
Just experiment.
Okay. I just want to make sure the chair's back there.
Yep. Yep. Now, what does that feel like?
I like it.
Now, can you have any sense of what the next step would be for you? You're there now. What would habitually be your next step?
If I was going to stay in the chair,
Yeah, if you were going to stay there.
well, the next thing I do is probably like wiggle around to try to
Well,
find.
maybe just see, do it very slowly. Ah, this what you do, you didn't wiggle around.
Like arch your back.
You did what Alexander teachers like to call sitting down twice.
Hmm.
First
Okay.
sitting down, you arrive at the chair.
Then you
But
sit
that's
twice.
not good enough, you think. And so you you sink into the chair a little bit. Yeah, well, you didn't go that far, but that was you were kind of arriving wasn't enough.
Uh-huh.
Legitimate seating means I have to now add something to arriving, and it's exactly analogous to the standing up. Remember, you'd stand up and you think to yourself, "Whoa, this doesn't feel like standing,
Yeah,
not
it's too
legitimate
much.
yet." And so you tack something onto it, a little.
Yeah.
In your case, a little shoulder back, pelvis forward.
Oh, yeah, and I totally do that every time.
Well, but you're not, yeah, you're not doing that. The end of the line standing. You weren't doing that just now.
That's because you taught me how to,
Well,
Simon.
I didn't really teach you how. I taught you how to recognize that there was something else that you didn't need.
Yeah,
And it's
okay.
exactly the same here. I
Okay.
mean, it's not exactly the same, but it's exactly the same thing. There's an arrival, and then there's something in your mind kicks in and says, but in order to be sitting, I have to do something else.
Yeah.
So see what happens. Stand up again. Oh boy, the cat. I don't think you'll hit.
I won't hit
I
him.
don't want you to sit on the cat. And the
He,
cat, I don't think the cat really wants that either.
he'll figure it out.
Yeah. So this time when you sit down, when you get even maybe when the first hint of an arrival at the chair, maybe not even the final, not the first final step, but you know that you're very close to being sitting.
Okay.
Use the direction, I'm not thinking. I think that would be an interesting one to use. I'm not
I'm not
thinking.
thinking.
Yeah,
Okay.
off you go. Good. I'm not thinking. Now, you notice that that kept you from doing any of the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we talked a little bit about mind wandering and stuff and
Yeah.
um, thoughts that are not particularly useful. And
Mm-hmm.
there's the thought that you have, and not you personally, most people have that, okay, I've got to do something else. That's a thought. That's not,
Huh.
that's coming from your brain.
It's an unhelpful, unnecessary thought.
Well, and let's talk about it. Bring the chair closer to the camera. We can talk about the implications of that. Oh, look at that. You wouldn't go wrong hiring your cat as a teacher.
He does hang out in the gym with me
You
when
don't
I'm down there.
you don't see him like when he arrives at the chair, you don't see him adding some little extra thing.
No, that's true.
And here's where you're going to see you'll see you once you start playing with this, you're gonna start to see this everywhere.
Yeah.
You'll start seeing, watch people when they sit down. Don't stare at them. Don't make yourself, oh my,
Don't
but
be creepy.
don't be creepy. But I used to do this on the subway in Toronto. I used to just be
Mm.
fascinated with people sitting down and then standing up again. And they would all sit down, and then a lot of them go, oh, now I'm feeling great. Meanwhile, my sacrum's driving me nuts. Um, you're going to see it all over the place, that and the standing one. Now, one place where I think you're going to see the standing one is with singers.
Hmm.
So you have singers, sometimes individual singers that are now going to sing as opposed to just be standing, right?
Yes. Every day.
Be really interested in what they do to themselves when they go from I'm standing here to not even the first sound. It's just about time for me to sing. And you'll see that almost all of them kind of set themselves in a certain way that they associate with singing.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
And they don't need it, but it's a habit. I think
Wow.
I told you the story about the opera singer. Did I tell that to you, that working with Mark
Start the
Russell?
store. Start it again.
Well, she was a French opera teacher on one of Marge's workshops back in the 80s, probably. And she was a really good singer. And Marge picked up on that with her. And Marge, she was using her hands to sort of help guide her. And she just had her hands on her neck or somewhere, so that when she started singing, it was kind of a little impetus to not add anything else.
Mm.
And out came this amazing voice. Even I, who am totally unmusical, could hear it. And everyone was blown away by it. And then
Where
uh,
did she put her hands?
well, because most Alexander's teachers work with hands.
Yes, and I have seen videos of
Yeah.
that. So I'm
But
just
we're not
curious, like,
using hands because my arm is not 150, whatever number of miles it takes to get to Columbus.
right?
And actually, I won't go into this too much, but I think there's a huge advantage of doing it this way. You
Hmm.
get some benefits with the hands, but you also get a dependency factor.
Hmm.
Really big in the Alexander world.
Hmm.
I don't want to get the politics of that are awful.
Ain't got time for that today. It's
Yeah,
a different,
right. But
different day.
the interesting thing was, always people were going ooh and ah, and she didn't look happy. And she was not happy because, as she said, I wasn't doing it legitimately. Like it's almost like she had a sense that she was cheating.
Oh.
And I remember really being interested. It just was fascinating to watch that interchange.
Hmm.
But on a more mundane level, you're going to see end of the line sitting, end of the line standing, all over the place when uh, someone stands up. You're looking at them anyway because you're talking to them at some meeting or other. You,
Yeah.
it's not going to be a huge deal if you happen to be catching that last little moment.
Okay.
So I would recommend that. I think if you played with that the same way you did with the standing in a couple of weeks, it just will be it'll be intuitive. Maybe I don't know, intuitive, it'll be habitual, and then there may be some times when you fall into the old pattern and you'll notice it, and then you realize. And using a direction is really a good way to get that. I'm not thinking for that, but you could also use I'm not doing, or
Yeah.
free, or any of them. Any of them. The trick is to get that direction there going a little bit at that moment. You might make sense to use the direction the whole way down, but you're going to forget about it. Okay, you have to play with that. Should I do that, or
Yeah.
should I wait till close to the end of the line?
Right.
But it's the
Okay.
end of the line both in both directions, right? Standing,
Mhm.
sitting, right?